joining me now is the lead guitarist for European metal band Ad Infinitum. Hello, how are you doing, Adrian?
Hey Josh, yes, I'm doing very good, and we are in the mood. We are releasing tonight our new album, and it's a lot of stress, but we are very happy that this is finally going out in the world.
So, just before we do get onto the album, let's just talk a bit about your journey with Ad Infinitum first. So, how did it come about you joining?
Um, the story behind me joining the band is actually super interesting because I was asked by Nick, who was touring with Melissa and the band Serenity. So they knew each other pretty well at that point. And Nick knows me from a time when we were like 12, 13 years old. We were playing in a youth jazz program together, and we had school, and then we had our vacation time, and during that vacation time we met in jazz camps. And I don't know how, but then my family moved to a different town and we lost contact for more than 10 years. And after 10 years, we got back in contact via Facebook, and he asked me if I would. And he was seeing that I went just like him from jazz to metal.
Hmm.
And he asked me for Ad Infinitum. Yeah.
It's quite a leap, like, because there's a couple of other musicians that have gone from jazz to metal. One name in particular, Miles Kennedy. He started off in jazz.
Yes. So cool when I learned about this, because I'm a huge Alter Bridge fan, and when I learned about this, that's the coolest thing ever, because I have a big crush on that band. And yeah, it's interesting because m- more I think it's more happens to that metalheads go into the jazz direction, because when you start learning lead guitar and all the scales and stuff, there's not really a way around jazz and all that theory stuff. And for me, I always looked at jazz as a kind of a discipline that I have to master to be good at something. And it worked out for me. I'm not playing any jazz gigs, but if you ask me, hey, play Autumn Leaves for me or Stella by Starlight, I would play you jazzy chord melodies with a nice clean guitar tone. It's not my personal heartfelt thing, but I can deliver it for sure. But I'd rather stay. I'm on a stage with a metal band.
So, what are your sort of musical influences then?
um I'm okay. When I got into jazz, I moved to jazz rock very quickly, to fusion and all that. And that was my the beginning of technical stuff, like John Scofield or Scott Henderson played it, and I transcribed a lot of saxophone solos and learned all that jazz chops and chromatic lines and stuff. And then when I was 17, I got to know, or I listened to Joe Satriani, and I was totally blown away by his legato runs and all that swiftness in his playing. And yeah, so I went all shredding during that when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. And but I never really got into the proggy kind of music. I mean, I understand when someone says, hey, the song is in 7/8 or 9/8. I don't mean to be mean or something, but I don't think it's that hard to play prog music,
Hmm.
because all those riffs, they have some kind of feel to it, and when you understand that feel, there is no 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. It's just about the doom 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 dink doom dick doom doom ging, and then it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to think about it. So that flex, I'm a prog player, it just, I don't know, I it's not my thing. um I'd rather have a nice 4/4 bar, and then make it interesting with twists and stuff like that. So that's my thing when it comes to writing riffs or my influences. Yeah.
So, going on to Ad Infinitum, the albums now. Each one is titled Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and now Chapter 3. Is this sort of like telling a story with all the albums so far?
Come again, sorry.
So all the albums, they're all titled like with Chapter 1, then you've got Chapter 2, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the new one is Chapter 3. Are they telling like a bigger story?
Ah, they're not linked to one another. It's more, I mean, it started with chapter 1, and then we didn't know where should it go. Are there 5 chapters in the end? But I think with the state of the band and our feel towards the concept of these chapter things is that with chapter 3, this trilogy ends where we are highlighting historical figures like chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3, now Cleopatra and ancient Egypt. And even with this album, it's not, oh, Cleopatra, she did this and she had this story with her brother, and this is the story with Caesar. It's more like a general inspiration from the musical influences, from the cult of gods and the mystical stories about this. So we were loosening up the concept already very much so, and we have plans for upcoming albums where it turns in a completely new direction. So you can stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's all I can say towards the concept itself and the connection between these albums.
So so you recently did a couple of shows over here in the UK, supporting
Yes.
Beyond the Black and Amaranth. What
Did you
was
see these shows?
I went to the Manchester one, yes.
Okay, so you missed Amaranth, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
unfortunately. But
yeah.
I have to admit, out of all the bands, I was really impressed with yourselves. The energy was just outstanding.
Thank you very much. I because there was Manchester was very early on the tour, so I think we found our dynamic in the second half of this tour. But so I'm very happy to hear that you saw that already in Manchester, because I was actually I mean, this was our first tour and we were all watching our Instagram taggings and maybe if someone uploaded something on YouTube, and I was literally after every gig I was watching our gig on YouTube and searching for it to see, okay, what looked good, what was not working and stuff. So we learn very fast, and we're therefore we're even more ready for this year's festival season.
So what what trying to word it out, the UK fans compared to, let's say, the mainland Europe?
What is the question? Sorry.
So how different are the UK fans compared to, let's say, like mainland Europe?
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I can remember it correctly, but I what I really liked is that the place was packed from the beginning and everyone came from the start. I mean, it's not usual because like we're the first of 4 bands. Um, if I was only if I only knew Beyond the Black or Amaranth, I wouldn't be so sure if I would come to Ad Infinitum like 2 hours earlier. So that was really cool to see all this dedication coming from the UK fans. It's very amazing. To be honest, I don't remember exactly the energy of that club, but I think it was great because I know which shows didn't work so well, and I think Manchester wasn't one of them. Um, but I think it was so exciting because for me it was my first time in England, seeing this country and meeting all the people, and I don't know, I liked the time in Manchester. We had a good time. We had an off day before that, and we were all around the place, and yeah, it was a great time there.
So is there any plans on coming back to the UK? doing like
Absolutely.
a mini headline tour, for example?
We're right now in the negotiations for this fall, and I can't say anything more concrete right now because we're in the middle of planning and figuring out stuff and who's on the lineup. And but we're totally up for coming to the UK again. I mean, we have a big audience there. We know that, we see this in the statistics, so we will go there for sure again.
So, Adrian, thanks for taking the time out to have a chat with us. It has been a huge pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
And good luck with the album tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're very excited.